Thank you. Nicole, would you mind reading out the chat, letting us know who's here with us? Oh, and also, could you please give people directions on the chat because there was a host and yes, could you help kind of with that? Thank you.
Yes, of course. Hello, everyone. Good to see you all. It looks like we have quite a few people joining from different parts of the world. So good to see you all. I see Shazad just said hello from Pakistan, and I see also Amina, Anna, um, Christina, Rosie, and Yoko. So thank you for those of you starting to say hello in the chat box, and so good to see you all. Thank you. Yep, I see we have folks from Pakistan, Costa Rica, Argentina, Japan. Great to have you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole, could you let folks know how to ask questions during the webinar? Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yes. Yes. And I meant to say, when you're just writing in the chat, please just select everyone from that drop down before you type your message so everyone can see it. And then to ask a question, you can either type it in the chat or click on the Q&A under, you should have it on the bottom of your screen, perhaps under the three dots more. If you see Q&A there, we will also be looking at that and answering questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We're excited to share some new resources we have in the Collaboration Center that we hope will support you and support all of the members in iEarn. So what are we going to be talking about today? What are we going to be going through? Well, first, we're going to be sharing a new space in the Collaboration Center called our resources or our FAQ page. This space really came about because of feedback we received in some focus groups we did earlier this year. So we appreciate all the folks that participated in that and shared the need to have this type of space in the Collaboration Center. We're also going to talk about registration. We've heard that can be a pain point for folks. And so we wanted to make sure that this group was aware of the resources we have to support registration, especially of students in the Collaboration Center. Then we wanted to talk about course features. This is going to be really important for our facilitators as we're moving into our getting ready for our next project year. And then we wanted to share kind of what's new and what's next in the wonderful world of the Collaboration Center. And then we want to leave some time at the end for questions from this group. So let's get started. So navigating the Collaboration Center Resources Center, or our FAQs. So, what's found here? I'm going to take you directly into the Collaboration Center and show you these spaces. But before I do that, I just want to let you know that we have a resource center found both in the PowerSchool platform and in the Schoology platform, both of the platforms that make up our Collaboration Center. We recommend that you use the PowerSchool resource space. You'll find the same information in the Schoology space as in the PowerSchool space, but PowerSchool lets us organize it in a way that we think is actually more useful. The Schoology way of organizing it is a little bit harder to navigate. And so whenever possible, we want people to kind of go to PowerSchool to find this information because we feel like it'll be easier to find. But it is in Schoology, and I'll show you where. I want to share that most of the information is in PDFs that can be downloaded and then sent somewhere, right? You can email them, you can share them. But remember, if folks are accessing this on a mobile device, they'll have to remember to download the PDF and then use a PDF reader. Most mobile phones have them, but they'll need they'll need to take that extra step. You know, we really recommend, if you're going to be spending a lot of time looking at the resources, that you try to do it on a laptop or a desktop. We've done our best to optimize it for mobile, but the platform, this is a space that the platform really isn't the most useful on mobile, but we've done our best to try to make sure that if you do have a member accessing on mobile, that they're able to get the information too. You'll find both written tutorials and videos, and I'm going to show you all of that in a minute. Now, why are we focusing on an FAQ, or a frequently asked questions system? So we've kind of organized it around the questions that folks are asking. Well, as I said before, during our recent focus groups, it was suggested by community members to create this space. And we know that we get a lot of similar questions sent to technical support at iEarn.org. So we included questions brought up in the focus groups and those that we've tracked through the emails that have, and those that have come up as frequently asked are now in this frequently asked section. If you have a question that isn't answered here, right, we want you to reach out to technical support at iEarn.org. It may just be a specific question that you have, right? And we can answer it. It may end up becoming a future frequently asked question because you're asking a question other people want to know too, right? So we want you to continue to be in contact with us, because that's the only way that we're able to know what types of questions the community has to be able to include in this space. So let me take us into our PowerSchool first. Sorry, I've got something on my screen that is hiding PowerSchool. Here it is. I'm gonna move stuff back. I'm gonna go to the home. This is PowerSchool. So this should be hopefully what most people see when they're when they come into PowerSchool. If you look up at the top, we've got the home, we've got the projects, the transcripts, and there's a space called resources. If you click into this resource section, there is where we have our frequently asked questions. We tried to organize them as best we could, kind of thinking about who might be looking and what they might be looking for. We are very open to feedback on this. But the first thing we grouped together was for facilitators. If you are creating or organizing a project in the Collaboration Center, what types of questions might you have? What are the things you might be looking for? And so we've included some of the frequently asked questions that have come to us from facilitators and others about kind of creating these courses. Then another one for facilitators, but specifically around communication, right? So questions about how do you communicate with your participants? For example, how can I email all of my participants, or how can I issue a certificate to participants who completed my project? So we've got a tutorial in there for that. Then for teachers, country coordinators, facilitators, everybody, right? What are our Collaboration Center resources that folks tend to ask questions about? We've got discussion groups, registering for a project, what options are available for posting in a discussion board? So what can I do in a discussion board? What about audio and video recordings? Can I post those in my projects? And we've got tutorials for those. These tutorials all come in as a PDF and provide step-by-step instructions. But we also have some questions that don't really need step-by-step instructions. People just want an answer to. So we've included that in miscellaneous questions. Just some questions that have come up, like what's the difference between the two portals in the Collaboration Center, PowerSchool and Schoology, right? Like what are they? Or if students or teachers are accessing my class on mobile, what should I consider, right? And so we provide some guidance on that. And then at the bottom, we have some videos as well. So if you would rather watch a video and have someone talk you through many of the things that are in these PDFs, we have video option as well for you. So that's what it looks like in PowerSchool. And that's where you find it, under resources. And in just a moment, I'm going to click on this. You'll see it kind of comes up as a PDF. So it saves to my laptop as a PDF. I'm actually going to show you what those PDFs look like on another slide. So let me move into Schoology and show you what you might be finding in Schoology. So when I come into my Schoology, it takes me into the forums that I'm a part of, and I see courses, groups, and resources. I'm going to go to resources again. But like I said, PowerSchool makes it really easy to look to present in a way that's really helpful. This resources takes you to this page, and you have to do some navigating from here. You have to go to groups, then you have to go to your school resources, and then we have to click on iEarn FAQs and tutorials. And you'll notice it doesn't allow us to do the frequently asked questions format. It just allows us to attach all of the PDFs. So you've got this almost all of the same information that you did in PowerSchool here in Schoology, but it's not in the same format. Now, I don't expect anybody who's watching this webinar to be able to remember later, oh my gosh, how do I find this in Schoology? We will provide step-by-step instructions. I will actually be providing this PowerPoint from this webinar, including arrows and things like that on screenshots to show you where to find these things. So I'm not expecting anybody to remember it now. I'm not going to spend a lot of time looking at the resources here in Schoology. I'm going to spend most of our time on this webinar looking at it through PowerSchool, because I think the PowerSchool format is just so much nicer. So let's go back. Let's go back to here. And I showed you it came down in a PowerPoint. So let's jump into a big idea. Registration. Folks ask a lot of questions about registration. Oh, you know what? Folks, we're going to go back because I missed something really important. I missed being able to ask you all some questions. I would love for folks to look at, if they can, on this device that they're on right now, if you can log into PowerSchool, I would love for you to log into PowerSchool and try to get to the resource section. If you can log into PowerSchool and get to the resource section, I'm going to ask you to look at some of these frequently asked questions and put in the chat a frequently asked question that you've had or that someone you know has had. What is a frequently asked question here that has come up in your iEarn world? And I'm going to ask Nicole to share any of the questions that came up. If you cannot get into this window on whatever device you're on, you can look at my screen, which also has many of the questions, though not all of them, because I'm not going to keep scrolling. So again, try to get into this. I'd love for folks to be in this as we're looking through it so that you can be practicing doing this too. And I'm asking, could you please share a frequently asked question that you see here that you have asked or that someone else you know has asked?
I see Rosie just posted. I got questions about project start and end date, especially when the project finishes later than it had been planned. And so thank you for sharing that, Rosie. You'll see that we do have a
cue kind of related to that. And one of the things that we tell folks is to kind of think about their start and end dates and some of the considerations they would have there that have come up from our participants. I know when I first joined iEarn and was leading a project, I had a lot of questions about if I could link anything into my project, right? So what does it look like to add external links? I'm curious if folks are able to get to this space. If we could get a yes or a no. How are we doing, Nicole?
It looks like a couple people have found it.
Wonderful.
And yep, some more saying yes.
Oh, great. All right. Well, we'll get back into our PowerPoint. Are folks seeing the slide that says registration right now? Nope, I'm still sharing PowerSchool. Sorry about that. Here we go. All right, so let's talk about registration, everyone. Thank you for playing along with me. So registration. We're going to talk about teacher registration for a class, registering a student, and troubleshooting student registration. So we have heard registration has been a challenge for some members. So we created tutorials to help you explain the registration process to members. First, we'll look at how teachers register for projects. And I'll take you into PowerSchool to show you where this tutorial can be found in our FAQs. And then I'll show you what the downloaded PDF looks like. And then we'll walk through the tutorial. So I'm going to be looking for how can I register for a project getting started tutorial. I'm going to jump into PowerSchool. I'm looking for how can I register for a project getting started. So for facilitators. And it is for teachers, country coordinators, and facilitators. How can I register for a project? I would click here to get the PowerPoint. And I'll show you what that looks like. So it'll come up, the PowerPoint will actually be some slides, like a set of slides that we've created for you. And so now let's see what this tutorial looks like. Well, the first set of directions, you'll see it's numbered. Number 1, log into the Collaboration Center Administration Hub, PowerSchool. So we've heard that folks, again, what is the difference between PowerSchool and Schoology? Well, we think of PowerSchool as the administration hub. It's where you do the administration work. So that's the first place that you would need to log in to register for something. You use your username and password. If you've forgotten either, you can use one of the recovery options to receive an email in your inbox with recovery information. Then, number 2, right? To register for a project, search for it directly in the search bar or browse projects by clicking projects and courses in the navigation bar at the top of your screen. You can search by tags, subject, age level. When you found the project you would like to participate in, click register button for the course. A page with the project details such as dates should appear. Scroll down, click on next. Once you've registered, the go to course button on the confirmation page will take you to the project materials. Right. So this really does walk you through every step, and it gives some call outs, some arrows, some boxes, some things to help you understand, or whomever you're helping understand how to register for the course. Now, step 3 says many projects have discussion posts within the first folder where participants can introduce themselves to other participants. And it talks through that. We include that because we really want folks, when they've registered for the course, right? Like we're hoping to encourage them to start talking, start engaging with each other. So within the Collaboration Center, teachers would use this process to register. We've shared with them how to sort to find a project. What it doesn't include is how the teacher learns about the content of the project, right? There is not currently a function to preview a course in this system. The teachers will need to be able to learn about the course through the project book. This year, we're going to ask some more questions about course content, how long the course is, how many hours a week, potentially if you have an example of the curriculum or exercise, so that we can share more information in the project book. We don't expect that everyone's going to be able to answer all of the questions, right? But we hope to get more information about each project so that folks, before they even register, have an even better understanding of what this project might look like. So I have a question for the group. What information would teachers like to know about the projects that is not currently included in the project book? We'd really like to hear from the participants in the webinar. What information would teachers like to know? Nicole, do we have any responses?
Not just yet.
Okay.
People might be thinking about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Rosie said that I think everything is there. That's great to hear.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
I know in the US, teachers sometimes ask, when is kind of the best time to join certain projects, or, when are they most active? So that can be, sometimes a challenge to find. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is one of the questions we're going to ask, especially if you've facilitated a course for a while. I think most of our facilitators have a pretty good idea of kind of when they tend to have more interest in their projects. And so that's helpful, I think, as teachers are trying to understand how many international classroom partners they might have. So that's how teachers would register for their projects. Do we have, I don't want to. So that's how teachers would register. Now let's look at how to register students. I'll take you back to PowerSchool to show you where this tutorial can be found. So let's jump back into PowerSchool. And the thing that we're looking for is, how can I create Collaboration Center accounts for my students or register them? So again, we're under teachers, country coordinators, facilitators. Everybody's going to want to know this information. How can I create Collaboration Center accounts for my students and register them? I would click here, and this is what would come up. Oh, let me get back, and this is what would come up. So again, it would show you log in under your Manage Profile. It shows you look on your profile page and find your unique student registration link. Each teacher has their own unique form for adding their students. And then it talks about creating student accounts. This is there's a lot of information here, right? Because some teachers are going to be able to do it because their students have an email address that they're using at their school, right? So number 3 takes you through that. Enter your student's name, last name, email address, make sure each student has their own email address so that they can receive notifications. And then, for each additional student, you'd add another response. That's another student. And then how long it would take for them to be able to get the account set up. We have heard that not all of our students have an email address. So if they don't, then we leave the email address blank and we click on, I need to create an email address. And you would do that for each student that needed it. Once you filled out the form, your students receive the email in 24 hours. If you've selected the option to create the email address, you'll be taken to a new window where the email address and temporary password will be displayed. In a separate tab, you'll go to Gmail and you'll log in. Your student will have that unique email through Gmail to be able to use here. We could not get rid of an email option in the system. We have to have one. It's just the way that the whole system is set up. So this is our workaround, right, for those students who don't have them, that we can still create something, right, and allow them into the system. That it's really up to the teacher, right? Like potentially the student never sees this email, right? Like it doesn't really exist for them, but it's necessary to get this system up and running. And so what does the teacher do if they're having problems? We know that, often our emails, because they're coming from a system, depending on your internet or your email filters, a lot of our emails go into spam. Especially at school district, they tend to go into spam. So if your teachers are having problems, right, they aren't getting their students' passwords, or they didn't get the information, we do want to encourage them to check their spam. But if that didn't work, right, have them reach out to technical support at iEarn.org. The thing is, we don't want teachers to give up. There is help. We can get all of their students into this system. There is a way. We can make it happen. We just need them to be in communication with us so that we can help them do that. So now that we've got both teachers and students into the Collaboration Center, let's talk about the course features. And this is something for our facilitators that you all spend a lot of time thinking about. So what do I mean by course features? Well, we know that all projects should address participation, collaboration, and final outcome. In the Collaboration Center, we have tools that can be used to support the collaboration part of it, right? Most of our courses use a folder system to set up their courses, and they use discussion boards and other tools to support collaboration. There are a lot of really clever, interesting ways that our facilitators have created their projects to use the platform to kind of draw people in, to make it feel engaging. And so I just selected 3 of them that really highlight different things I want to talk about. They're not the only ones to do this. They're just 3 that I want to that do it. So I'd like us to look at Girls Rising. When you look at the Girls Rising project, one of the things that really jumps out to me when I first look at it, and we have seen in the feedback that we've gotten from folks that participate in projects, is the Girls Rising use of images to really draw folks in. I'll be honest with you, the Schoology system is fine, but it's not pretty, right? A basic course is not super exciting to look at, right? And so we know our facilitators have to think a lot about, like, how do I make this space feel like a warm, engaging educational space to be in? And we've gotten feedback that the Girls Rising use of these images, as you could have scroll down and see each of their sections has an image, really just pulls folks in, right? It cuts up the parts of the course so folks know where they're going next, but it also creates a space that's not boring, right? And so wanted to appreciate that and the use of images that several different folks have done, and share that as an example if you haven't yet thought about using images. I want to show you another course. It's called Compañeros de Clases Globales, or CCG. And in this one, this is in this course, you'll see they've got the different weeks. And I want to find this. So they have a video, right? This probably looks a lot, I'm sure looks familiar to everyone. Within your different weeks, you've got the different things folks are doing. They're doing a discussion to each other. There might be an activity. Sometimes there's a video. The reason why I wanted to pull out this video is because when you click on it, it opens up directly in Schoology. Your students aren't taken out to YouTube. It just shows the video directly here in the platform. Not only does that look nice, but also your students aren't getting all of those additional videos down the side. They're not getting advertisements. They're not getting all of the other kind of noise that comes from YouTube, because this link has been embedded into the course. If anyone has questions or wants to try that in their course, we're happy to help you think about that as you are going through the project renewal process. And finally, you've seen this in the other ones, but I wanted to just point out another one of our projects. Do Good, Share Food is another example of something that I've seen, and in all of these have been pointed out in feedback surveys that we've gotten from folks. The color coding that happens here, right? So like you'll see that the folders have certain colors, because these are all activities that are happening around certain dates. Then they've got the planning and research. Some of the directions are in different colors as well. I've seen that in several of our projects, folks using color within this system to kind of bring the eye in, to encourage folks, to make it easier to understand what's happening and to engage in, to make a platform that could be kind of boring, really interesting and engaging. And so these are just a few of the examples. I know lots of other projects are doing lots of really cool stuff like this, but I just wanted to point it out that as folks are going through the project renewal process, we are happy to help you if you haven't done anything before, or if you're come up with a new idea of something that you want to try, we're happy to help you think about how it can get done. So let's go into kind of what's new, what's next. And what do I mean by that? Well, what's new? So I'm going to actually take you back to CCG. I'm going to go back into the course, and I want to show you here. So if any of you are doing any kind of Zoom or any synchronous engagement with students, we wanted to show you this function that is now available in the platform. If I click on this, it brings up an open Zoom window. You can see on the screen, it's like telling me it's going into Zoom. It's giving me the whole thing. I actually can't get into this because I'm currently on a webinar and this Zoom happened in the past, right? But if it was the current Zoom, the Zoom would actually open up right here on this page. The students and the classes would be inside the collaboration space and the Zoom would open up. Why is that helpful and why is that interesting for us? Well, number one, we know that the more places that folks have to go to, the harder it is, right? It's easier to try to have everything in one space, that they're kind of working on everything together in one space. So it answers that. But also it means that when you're going into Zoom, you already, everyone who's coming into this course, into this Zoom, already has a Collaboration Center account. They're already in your course. It's your students, right? There's no accidentally someone getting the wrong Zoom or going into the wrong class or things like that, because they didn't have to copy and paste any URL. No one else, we're not sending them a link to or a copy of the link to the Zoom. They're just going directly into it. So there's no error there, right? Like they're not going to get the wrong one, or it's not going to be typed incorrectly. There's not going to be any problems with that because they're going to be able to go right in. We have used this in a couple of courses, and folks have said it's really been helpful in just being able to navigate to the space in an easier way. So that's something new. We have, based on feedback, we have developed a Zoom integration. Any facilitator who is interested in using a Zoom or that type of technology, please reach out to us during the renewal process, and we can help you understand how to use the integration, right? Now, I also want to go back to the emails. I had talked about those earlier. We've got the tutorial. This email system, it came up because folks shared with us that this was a challenge, right? And asked for a solution. We are keeping track of these types of requests. And we do have a long-term plan on continuing to improve the Collaboration Center. But again, we encourage folks to reach out when they need things, because we would not have created a separate system to address the student email issue if folks hadn't said there was a student email issue, right? So we just ask you to continue to share where you have pain points and where you think there can be improvements. Now, for our facilitators, this is for you. We are coming upon the project renewal, or if you're going to be suggesting a new project process. And in fact, it launches in just a couple of days. We'll be sending out a call for projects, both new and renewals, through an email and an announcement in the newsletter in the next couple of days. Now, as I said earlier, it's going to be a two-step process. We're going to ask folks to let us know, are you going to be renewing? Are you going to be submitting a new project? And asking them to answer a few questions about it. And then after we get that back, then we will send out the information to start that process, right? To move your course, archive it, move the things over, and set up your 2024-2025 course. So you can start that as soon as we finish the two-step process of confirming that you want to renew. And we have June and July to get that done. We'll continue our call for projects and course setup in July. We'll send reminder emails, but we'll need the course setup to be completed by the end of July. And here's why. I want to call out and appreciate Iron Pakistan, who has stepped up into and agreed to and offered to be the next publisher of the project book. So we want to have all of the information they need to create our next project book for the month of August, so that they can create that project book in August, and we can have it to launch in September. Now, a 2-month window can be tight for some folks, and I understand that there may be some challenges in folks meeting that. We do have a hard deadline for the project book. And we really can't change that. But what we can do is, if you are still in process, or if something comes up, we can still help you after the end of July to create your course. We just can't promise it'll be in the project book, but it could be available in the Collaboration Center. And we can support you in kind of calls for participation and so on. But for the project book, we do this year have to have a hard deadline for when things are submitted, so that our partners in Pakistan can create the next project book. And we can have it posted in iEarn.org in September to launch the project year. So again, I want to thank iEarn Pakistan for their leadership here. I want to thank everybody for their well, for being part of this, right? Having your projects and going through this process with us. Please reach out if you have any questions. But again, we'll be sending out an email in the next couple of days to launch this process. And then finally, what if you want to use a special tool in your course and it's not a discussion board, right? It's not one of the other things that we find in the currently find in Schoology. So I know that there have been courses that have used something called Flip, and I'm actually going to show it to you. It's pretty cool. You can see it on my screen. This is actually from One Day in a Life. And this is a video process where students create their own videos and upload them. They do it through this system, right? And they do kind of introductions to each other. And we've had other courses that have also used Flip. Flip, you can just put the URL directly into Schoology, and it'll take you right to this page, right? So this came directly from One Day in a Life's class. Students go straight here and they can participate in Flip. And I will say, for those of you, if a synchronous engagement, like a Zoom call, is just not possible for your course, right? This might be a really neat way, something like Flip, for students to be able to see each other and hear from each other. So I know several projects have used Flip. Padlet is another one that folks have used. You just put the URL in there, and on the Padlet, folks can write their messages. And then this year, one of our projects used something called Story Maps, which takes a map and allows you to tell a story about what you see, like a special place on that map. And that's another one where they took the URL from that system and they put it right in there. As I had said earlier, right, we know that it's often best for folks to be doing everything within the system. These are 3 examples where they actually have to go somewhere else. But we encourage you, if you want to use anything, any of these, to see if it can be integrated into Schoology. If you reach out to technical support at iearn.org, we can let you know if it's possible to be integrated. If not, we encourage you to use the URLs directly in your project. I'm going to take us back for a moment into PowerSchool. And I say, this frequently asked questions section is new, right? And I really want to encourage folks to look through it, right? We have done the best we can to name the questions something pretty general, the types of questions that most people have asked, right? For facilitators, I would encourage you to look through these tutorials. They're going to be really helpful to you as you are putting together your next project in 24-25. It has everything from how do I save my materials from this year so I can transfer them over to next year, because you've done so much work this year. You probably have a great structure. You want to just move that structure over, right? We want this tutorial to help you understand how to do that and move it over and make the renewal processes as seamless, as easy as possible for you. We have something on the start and end date, recognizing that the start and end dates, they matter for teachers, for you, trying to organize. Do certain things have to happen at certain times? When are most people going to be participating in this? When can I support them? Adding completion rules. We see some projects use completion rules, especially if they want to provide a certificate at the end. If you want to consider doing that and haven't done it before, here's a tutorial on how to do that. We also have one on the discussion boards, and I really like this one because the discussion boards in Schoology actually have a lot of things that can happen in there. You can actually record voice. You can record video in the discussion, on that discussion block. You can link something, a document or a URL. There's a lot of things that you could do with the discussion board, but it doesn't look as robust as it actually is when you're just first looking at it. So we have a tutorial on that for you to share potentially with your teachers, to say, hey, here's all the different ways you can use the discussion board to submit things, to encourage them for participation. We have adding the external links, media, managing project participants. If you needed to remove somebody, right? Like they came in, they thought they might want to do the course, it's not going to work for them. You may want to remove folks that are not actively participating in your course so that your active participants know who they can reach out to. And then finally, enabling notifications. You may be interested in this both for your course and maybe even for the forums. How do I enable notifications or maybe cut back on the notifications if I'm getting too many? I would encourage folks to really spend time in this space. We've got a lot of information here, and this is where we want folks to go. We want to encourage folks to go to first, because we really do think that a lot of the questions that we've gotten over the past year, they're answered here. And again, if they're not, then you reach out to, well, if they're not answered, who are you going to call in the name of Ghostbusters? And if you haven't seen that movie, it's fun. Technical support at iearn.org. That, folks, is our walkthrough of the new resource section in PowerSchool and Schoology. The timeline for project renewal and some new resources that we have available for this next project year. I want to open it up now to questions. If folks want me to go back to something, if they need clarification, if they need additional information, it's now time for us to think about that together. So I'm gonna open it up for questions. Oh, and I'm sorry if you did not see this slide. If you have requests, I'm sorry, and I missed. We will do an annual review. This year, we did a review of questions, and these are the changes that we made based on them. We want to continue to do an annual review process to make sure that we are addressing the things that folks need and doing some upgrades. If there's something that's important that must go out, that must change at a certain point in time, obviously we'd do that. But we really want to start an annual review process that allows us to make these kind of changes based on feedback from the community. So now, questions.
I see Rosie just posted one. Is it possible to take a tour of the projects? I mean, if I'm not registered to any particular project because I'm new.
Yeah, so Rosie, I'm sorry, that's not something that we can do in this system. As I shared earlier when we were doing the registration, the thing that we can't do in the registration process is to preview a course. That's why we're asking more questions in the project book, because that's the place where folks are going to actually need to find out that more information.
And I see you, Rosie posted. So I need to direct people to the project book. That is often what we do here in the US, share the project book so they can look through all the projects there. But Melissa, if you want to add anything to that.
That's what we do in the US. I think the power of being an international collaborative is there might be other groups that have a better solution than we do. And so if there are other members of our community that have another way of supporting their members in doing that, please let us know. We have not found a technical solution, but there could be non-technical solutions that other folks have found.
A couple more questions. Anna is asking, so teachers who are going to participate in a project should first register in PowerSchool?
Yes, that is correct.
And then Rosie's asking about having a visitor category.
Yeah, Rosie, I'd love to hear more about that. I'm not quite sure what that would entail, but that's, yeah.
Shazad wants to know if we can please show the Zoom link option in the project forum again.
Sure. So I'm going to go into compañeros. And Jimmy, maybe we can ask you to come off of mute and share a little bit about how we did this.
So each of these Zoom links is a external link. So when you add a material to a course, like you would add, a discussion board or anything like that, in that drop-down menu, there's usually an option that says add file, link, or external tool. And basically what you do there is after you've selected this option, you take the Zoom link for the meeting that you've set up, you post it into the window that pops up. You can give it a title to let people know that this is your Zoom link, and then the title is what shows in your course. And after you then save the link, it then shows up as something that somebody can click. And once they click it, it then opens to Zoom directly within Schoology and then takes them to either their Zoom platform that's on their desktop or a new Zoom window if they're using the browser-based version as well. And so they can join their meetings without having to, find a link in their email or anything like that.
And I think Rosie expanded on her question about the visitor category. She says a way to access and see what's going on in a project without registering and without interfering with what people are doing.
Again, we do not currently have a system to do that, but I think, Rosie, you bring up an important point. I think as a community, we probably need to think about a way to do that. I don't know if there's a technical solution to that. It may be a non-technical solution, meaning potentially facilitators are sharing things in the forum that folks can then look at, right? You don't need to be signed up for a course to see something in the forum. Maybe that's the way that we need to do that. But as far as creating a way for folks to look at, for example, this course without being in it, no, that's not currently possible. I want to give another quick thanks to iEarn Pakistan. They shared a document that they have created to help their members navigate the Collaboration Center. It will also be linked in our frequently asked questions space. And we encourage anyone else who has created their own documents, especially if it's in a different language, right? We've got English here, potentially Rosie, people in your network have created things in Spanish, right? We might have things in other languages that are used within our network. We want to, the resource and frequently asked questions space is not my team space, right? It is our space. And so when folks have things that they want to share with the network to help the network use this, we'll link those in. We want to be able to share them. So we appreciate iEarn Pakistan for sharing theirs, and we encourage anyone else who has resources to share them with us so that we can link them in here, and the entire network can benefit from what you've created.
I see Rosie says, coordinators, many times we want to know how things are going in a project. It would be useful to be able to access a project. And yeah, we definitely understand your point. I don't know if you want to add anything, Melissa.
Yeah. Again, I think it's something for us to think about as a network. What could be some solutions that we would have that are outside of the technical space?
I will just quickly add, I mean, oftentimes I'll have to, I'll reach out to facilitators as a coordinator to kind of ask how things are going and is this a good time for a teacher to join? What's their advice? So that's another way you could try to get more information. Yeah.
And Rosie, no need to apologize. You are asking the question that everybody else is thinking, right? Like, so I appreciate you speaking up. Well, folks, we made this for an hour and a half because I didn't know how many questions folks would have, and I wanted to give as much space as possible. This is really, the whole purpose of this webinar was to introduce you to this new FAQ space, to show you what was there, to walk you through some of the pieces, to let you know that the project renewal process was coming up, and to encourage you to share with us your questions. And to show you how we're trying to kind of support the answering of those questions. If you're ready to go, we will stay on as long as folks have questions, but really the content has concluded.
I see Anna wrote a category for just coordinators to make them know about projects. I think sometimes we use the forum, the country coordinator forum, for those types of questions and conversations. So we encourage you to use that as well. Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Rosie. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. And again, we will stay on as long as folks have questions. Yeah, we will. We do have a recording here. I'm hoping my next time around, well, yes, we could share this. We could share this recording. I will be doing the same webinar in 2 weeks. And we may flip out the recording at that time to have them kind of the most up-to-date one, but certainly we can share that. And I think that would be shared in the forum, correct, Nicole? We would link that in the country coordinator and the facilitator forums on Schoology.
Yeah, that seems like the best place. And perhaps an email out to people could do that too.
Great idea, Nicole. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay, so we've paused our recording. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. Oh, any more?
Thank you so much. Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you.
Take good care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Jimmy, Nicole, can I